What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Team's Home Circus live video. On the left side here, we have Brandon Despia going up against Melodious on the right. This is going to be a post-Rota video here. This is at the sneak peek, so we are not most likely going to be seeing the Azamina cards in that branded deck list, unfortunately. But if you guys want to be seeing that, let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll see if I can whip up. I'm just waiting on one other deception in the mail. Before you dive in, don't forget to like, comment, share, channel a lot. We're on the road to 10K. Trying to hit that before the end of the year, and it's looking kind of slim without your guys' support. So if you guys want to see more content like this, definitely hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. And let us know in the comment section what other decks you guys want to be seeing. Melodious is going to be choosing to go first here, winning the die roll. Going to be able to activate a first movement solo. First movement solo is going to summon from the deck the copy of Refrain, which will then activate the effect searching for the couplet. If we have a good card in the hand like Soprano, we can activate the effect of couplet to summon itself out, and we are going to see them not activate that effect there, not having a good summon. We see a Refrain in the hand, which is not going to be worth it. So we then activate the effect of Concerto in the couplet in the spell and chakra zone, searching for that copy of Concerto. Concerto is going to then be used using both of them to go up into the Bacha. Bacha is going to activate the effect as well as Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2, going to be the couplet and the Refrain. The reason why you do this is that you can actually, if your opponent does choose to ash you, your cards are going to still resolve correctly. We're then going to be seeing the Soprano, or the level 7 being summoned from the deck, and then we're going to activate the Refrain, dumping the aria from the deck to the graveyard to boost up the attack of the Baka. Now the reason why we do this is just so that we can have it added to the hand to then go up into the Bloom. Bloom's going to activate the effect, discarding the aria as a free discard, and we're going to go Chainlink to the activation of the Baka. Chainlink 3, activation of the Concerto. We see a Chainlink 4, going to be a Sorenir, banishing that level 7, going to be absolutely devastating for the grind game of the Melodious player there, losing essentially a card that's going to bring back or add back cards whenever they summon. And also lose the Baka summon back as well, which is pretty nice. So well-timed Sorenir for the branded player there. And then we see the Bloom summon out a Soprano as well as a couplet. We're going to be seeing the Soprano activating the effect, adding back the aria, which is going to be special summoned out later that turn by Pendulum summoning. And then we go up for a Shiberta with that Soprano, and we just Pendulum summon out the aria after all. With two other sets, they're going to just simply pass turn on this, being one of them a Prosperity that they most likely drew off the Concerto draw, which is very unfortunate. We're going to be seeing the branded player go standby in main phase, and they are going to take a second to read the aria. This card can be very impactful, not being able to target their cards as well as being destroyed by battle. It does not target Mirror Jade, and Mirror Jade is going to be one of the easiest cards for us to summon out in the deck, as well as being able to go into a fusion deployment, essentially setting up a copy of Albaz right away, potentially even using that Shiberta to fuse. We're going to see Albaz discarding for cost, unfortunately being a tragedy there, and they do have a Herald to negate that and destroy, which is going to be very nice for the Melodious player. Not so great for Albaz. We're going to be seeing Albion and then activate the effect, sending the Branded Fusion to the graveyard, which is going to be a prime target for that Shiberta to banish. An Albaz, a Branded Fusion, and perhaps even the Tragedy. Quite nice Spanish, other than Tragedy going to get this search effect. We're then going to activate the effect of banishing the Tragedy, trying to add back the Branded Fusion, and they're going to chain the Shiberta there to banish all three. Now that Branded Fusion has been gone and the Tragedy has been used, it's going to be quite hard for us to kind of play through this game. But we're going to keep trying regardless by activating a Thrust, letting us search. So we see a copy of the Gold Sark going to be activated. We're going to activate the Gold Sark, and what are we going to choose to banish here? Most likely a Courier to get the effect to resolve. Maybe searching for that either the kit or a copy of the Cartesia. We do see a Purge being changed to that and making so that Mercury does not get the search. And then we proceed to normal summon an Aluber, activating the effect, allowing that to search for an opening. Opening can give us Quem, but we're going to be leaving us with 0 cards in the hand. Or we're going to have to discard a copy of High Spirits. We had Sorenir and High Spirits there, which is going to be a pretty good combo, but we did see the Sorenir interrupt one of their cards instead. We see Quem being summoned, dumping the Cartesia. And a Fusion, unfortunately, has not such a graveyard this turn, which means during the end phase, we're not going to see that Cartesia being brought back out. Now we do pass it over to our opponent, and hopefully they have to touch the extra deck so we can get that Quem effect to then be able to summon back out. But it's not looking too slim for Branded Despia. We're going to be seeing the couplet going to activate, searching for that Concerto, and we're going to then activate the Concerto once again, letting us fuse up into, I'm going to assuming, a Botcha or the Shiberta there, depending on what you want to banish. And then we're going to Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2, and we're going to Chainlink 3 Quem, targeting the Cartesia, but we have a Cobble the Grave for that as well. We're going to be seeing that, going to be making the Branded Despia player admit defeat there. Yeah, they were not going to be able to do that. That was simply bullying. Yeah, looking at that's kind of crazy, to be honest. You know, we see Shiberta being able to banish, and with only one Branded Fusion attack, we're very, very much hurt by that. I honestly think that Branded Fusion should not have been hit to 1. I think that not just only because I do play Branded, I don't think it's necessarily a really fair of a hit. You know, I understand that, you know, they want to push their product, which means you probably have to play the Azumina stuff now in Branded as well. But it's just, like, the deck's not that powerful. You know, I know that people are like, oh, the Puppet Lock is still very consistent. You know, it's a hit to consistency. The problem is that High Spirits and Sorenir are like 2 cards that equal a Puppet Lock. You have so many different areas to get Puppet Locked that, you know, why don't you just remove some of the problematic cards? Now, I know you can't just say, oh, you know, just ban Puppet. Well, there's Ido, and there's other like lights and darks. Now, I honestly think that the dark is the problem. Like, Raw's Disciple is not a problem because you can't dump it off Granganol. But I don't think Sanctifier really is kind of a problem. I think that you can just change it to turn it into like only summon out Albaz-related cards with an errata, and then Branded's still a very powerful deck if you give it Branded Fusion to 3. But unfortunately, hitting Branded Fusion to 1 just makes the Game Puppet Lock even stronger because that's one of your only good cards you want to hit. You know, you kind of like turn it into a Game Puppet deck, unfortunately. But we're going to be seeing the Branded player in Game 2 going first. Start off with the opening, discarding an Albaz. Very strong opening here. No pun intended. You know, getting that Albaz in the graveyard for Branded in red, or even a Branded in white if they do choose to play it. And we see the Aluber going to activate the effect, getting hit with an Imperm. We do activate the Albion, which can send 1/2 of the card to let us search for that Branded Fusion there, and allowing us to search or draw, I guess, to replenish our hand. It also looks like we have a Fusion deployment as well here, which can copy the Branded Fusion's effect in the graveyard. We do see a Magnemite on the Albaz, and then we're going to activate the effect, allowing us to search for a Dragon during the end phase of this turn, and we just pass turn on that there. With the end phase effect, letting us search for that Sorenir. And then we chain a High Spirits in the end phase, being able to send that Sorenir for a Titanic Lad. This is going to be absolutely crazy. We're going to see the power of High Spirits and Sorenir right here, right now. Sorenir is going to be activating the effect, as well as the Titanic Lad. And we search for the Cartesia. We're going to be seeing the Sorenir dumping the Lubellion or the Retribution, depending on which one we want to go for. I feel like we dumped the Titanic. We're going to see the Retribution being dumped. Okay. And then we're going to see Titanic Lad's effect going to activate, letting us bring out that copy of Quem. Quem can dump the Albaz from the deck, which now gives us access to that as well. Unfortunately, we can't send out the Cartesia, but it's still going to be fine. They're in a pass turn on that, and the setup is going to be absolutely huge. Where it's either in the draw phase, we're going to activate the effect of the Fusion of Duplication, banishing that Branded Fusion, acting as the Branded Fusion itself, sending an Albaz and the Lubellion, perhaps, to go for that Albion. Or we could go for a Dark, you know, being the Tragedy there, letting us search, and then discarding the... so we're going to go for the Tragedy there, which can summon out the Lubellion. And then we're going to show Chainlink 1 Lubellion, Chainlink 2 Quem. Because the Lubellion discards for cost, we can actually summon out that Cartesia, as well as Chainlink 3, the Tragedy there, letting us search for an Aluber. You know, you definitely want to get that consistency. We're then going to be seeing the Quem summon out the Cartesia, and then we're going to see the Albaz, as well as, I mean, I preferably would use the Albaz in the banished pile myself, but we're going to see us go for the Sanctifier there, and we are then going to see the Gimmick Puppet, or we're going to be seeing the Sanctifier going to be activated, giving them a Tragedy as well as a Sorenir. Now, why did we not chain Cartesia to use those to dump the Gimmick Puppet? I'm not exactly too sure. we're going to see Couplet going to activate its effects. Perhaps we didn't want to use that because we wanted to make sure that our opponent doesn't just go main phase and then activate as priority. So yeah, that definitely was what I'm assuming it was. So we give them a monster on the field so that first movement solo as well as Ostinato cannot be activated. You know, your opponent does have a priority in main phase to activate their first card. So, and Cartesia cannot activate before the main phase, which is kind of important. If Cartesia could be activated before the main phase, I'm going to assuming that we would have waited for that. But no, activating a Ostinato or a first movement solo can just be game devastating for us there, which is why we most likely just give them a tragedy during their turn. It cuts off a lot of their cards. As well as, you know, if you do choose to put the tragedy in the middle zone, Bloom has to summon out, so you have to find a way to get rid of that tragedy. That's going to be quite hard for Melodious to end up doing there. Regardless, I ended up looking out like at 1 for them. You know, not to mention that the Couplet also cannot search because we could do control a non-face-up Melodious monster, being the tragedy. So we can't even search for that Concerto, which is going to be, again, one other devastating card for them. So you don't even need a Gimme Puppet lock to end up winning the game against Melodious. That's how fragile this deck can be. Dive on to game 3, we're going to be seeing the Branded Despia player end up going second. We might see the Melodious player end up popping off. You know, their full end board is absolutely devastating against Branded. You know, it's a double Shaberta, which is a banish 6, being able to bring out. They can also use it correctly by having a Twile on the field, making it so that at any point during any turn, we'll have a banish 3. So, you know, if they sequence it correctly, they will see potentially that consistent banish 3, which is going to make Branded having a very hard time against that there. We're not going to be seeing a first movement or an Ostinato going to be activated here. Instead, we're going to be seeing a normal summon of a Refrain. That is not going to be the best for them, but they do see the Concerto already in the hand as well. It also is not that bad because we can always add it back with the Couplet here, you know, being able to add it to the hand to allow us to continuously search for it during the follow-up. But we are going to be seeing them read their card in the hand. It looks like they have the Gizmek here, which can be quite good against this deck. But we do see the Refrain as well as the Baka and the Couplet can activate here. And what do we choose to summon out? They're thinking with the level 7, but the last time they did that, they saw how it got hit with the Bestial right away. We're then going to see the Gizmek and activate the effect because we did summon from the deck. And they're going to take a second to read that card as well. And this card's going to be pretty powerful here, being able to summon out. And then we can summon out a Light. And we are going to activate the effect here, targeting the Shapina. And what do we choose to summon out? We choose to summon out a Ecclesia here, which can tag out into an Albaz at any point of time. So we're then going to see the effects of Refrain going to activate, dumping the level 4. And will Ecclesia now be activated? No, we're going to let them add back that level 4 here, which is going to potentially let them summon it out if it form a pendulum summon. We are going to see the pendulum summon very early for the Soprano, and we might just see a fusion summon into the Etoile there, which we are going to be seeing. Okay, so now we're going to be going Chainlink 1 Bacha, targeting potentially that level 7, as well as Chainlink 2 Concerto to put back and draw. You know, Etoile is going to be pretty powerful. We're going to be chaining the Incredible Ecclesia to this, and they're kind of forced. I was going to say, you know, you're kind of forced to let that resolve, but they have a call out for that anyways. So Albaz will not be summoned. I mean, think of it this way. If Albaz is summoned, they're going to have to be forced to bounce it with Etoile, and then they're going to be able to normal summon it out once again, but they're going to have to discard 2 cards, which is pretty crazy. But we do see the level 7 being summoned back out. They're going to activate the effect, adding the level 4, and we just passed turn with 2 other sets. And it didn't look like we searched with Concerto as well, or we didn't search for the Concerto as well, which is definitely a misplay there. You know, you always want to have Concerto, search, and if you can have it twice, you know, why not? We're going to be seeing Lubellion activate the effect, allowing us to search for a Bestial here, going for that Sorin here just so we can have that additional send in the graveyard. You know, you don't see this all the time because we don't have the or we do have the Magnamut as well. So him drawing the Magnamut for turn there, banishing the Botcha, activating the Magnamut effect, and now we can even threaten that Etoile right away. We're going to be seeing the Gold Shark activate, either banishing a Tragedy or the Mercurier, choosing for the Tragedy there, which can let them have the effect to search for a normal. And we see a Purge on that, making it so that we just do not get that access to a Luber. So we see a little bit of shaking in the camera. They're going to go for the Lubellion here, and they're going to activate the effect, placing the Lost on the field. Now, Lost is not going to prevent the Albaz from being bounced back to the hand with the Etoile, unfortunately, but it is worth a try. We're going to take a second to read the Etoile. If the card does leave the field, it summons out from the deck, or from the extra deck or the deck. Pretty crazy to have that effect as well. But we do normal summon the Albaz, activating the effect, sending the Sorenir, and we have to chain the Etoile to this, bouncing it. Unless we have like a Veil or something like that. We're going to see the Etoile being chained, and they have the Forbidden Droplets to negate the Etoile as well. That's going to be crazy here. Do we have a response to this? Will we see a crossout call Cosmic? We know we see a Solemn Judgment negating that. I mean, yeah, that's definitely pretty crazy. And we're going to be seeing them bounce back the Albaz. We then turn it to attack position, the Gizmek. And we did forget the Sorenir, but we are going to activate the effect now. It's the next chain. It's pretty simple to drop that to the graveyard. We all know that it was supposed to happen. Dropping the Retribution is pretty important. They're going to battle phase attack into the Etoile. Now, the reason why they do that is because they need to get it off the field. We're going to be seeing the Shiberta going to activate or summon out the Shiberta here, and that's going to be pretty devastating for us. They can just banish the Retribution. They can banish whatever else is in the graveyard at the time. It's going to be pretty hard for us to kind of combat that there. We do see a Sorenir being added to the hand in the end phase off that Magnamut, and just like that, we're going to pass turn. So we have Concerto Search. We also have the level 7 summoning back out. We are forgetting about that. We definitely should add the level 7 onto our field here. Maybe we thought it got bestialed by looking at the banished pile here. Well, they do go up into a Botcha. Botcha's going to activate the effect as well as Chain Link 1, Chain Link 2, and they're both going to resolve here. We know all the cards in the hand. And it looks like we're just not catching it. We're going to go for the refrain, then they're going to activate the effect, allowing us to search. And they do chain the Gizmek here. We chain an Ash Blossom to that, making it so that we cannot summon. We're going to try to summon the Quem from the deck, or maybe even a copy of the Cartesia. And we see the Soprano being summoned off of that couplet that was searched. And then we're going to see the Soprano activate the effect using all 3 to go up into an Etoile. And we could then activate the effect of the Botcha. Botcha will be able to attempt to target to summon back out the Etoile. I'm surprised we haven't realized the level 7 is supposed to be on the field here. And then we're going to chain link to the Concerto. So it looks like we're actually targeting the level 4 there. And we have to chain the Sorenir, right? And I feel like we have to. There's no reason not to. They can't really stop it unless they want to banish with the Shiberta. But we let that resolve. Then we draw first. And then we summon it out. Okay. We haven't realized we haven't summoned back to level 7 yet. We see the Shiberta be put into attack position. And then they are going to look at their graveyard. We have no branded spells, so we can just banish the I mean, I feel like we should just banish those cards in the graveyard just so that we gain more attack and we just get the free banish. Like, banishing Retribution is just kind of crazy. We're just going to pass turn on that, so not even choosing to bounce. Wow. Definitely not what I would have thought. I would have thought we would have banished 3 of the cards in the graveyard, bouncing the lost back to the hand with a Étoile, just so that we can have it, a banished 3 once again, and making sure that Retribution is just not in the graveyard. We're going to then activate the opening, sending the Sorneer to summon out the Aluber, and then we're going to go Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2, allowing us to search for a Branded Fusion. And dumping perhaps a Branded in red or a High Spirits as well. So dumping the High Spirits and adding the Branded Fusion from the deck. And like Branded Fusion will resolve unless we have Ash Blossom in the hand, or a Purge. But we're going to be seeing an Étoile here to try to bounce back that lost. They are going to chain the Shiberta. I mean, High Spirits, Lubellion, what the heck? Yeah, High Spirits and opening. We definitely chain the trap to this to add back High Spirits or the opening there. Okay, interesting that we're letting that High Spirits being banished. And we're not bouncing back lost. What? We got to bounce back lost. How have we not realized the level 7 is banished? Not banished yet. That's crazy to me. We see the Cartesia and the Albaz going now for the Albion. And then we activate the Albion effect, Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2. Not bouncing lost is crazy as well. And that's going to let us search for the Mercurier. We can then activate the Albion and banish the Sorneer and the Albaz. Let's go for Lubellion. Lubellion can then discard from the hand the opening that we ended up adding back for free. Or the Albaz that we have, which is going to be pretty nice when we do put that Albion in the graveyard at some point, hopefully. Because then we can just search for that Retribution. We're going to be seeing the Mirror Jade on summon, sending the Titanic Cloud, which can try to summon out the Quem, banishing that Étoile. Étoile is going to activate the effect, and we're going to be chaining Mercury to that. And we see the Melodious player end up minting the feat here. I mean, it's through a lot of misplays. I mean, we should have banished Retribution earlier so they wouldn't have been able to add back that opening. We should have summoned out our level 7 from the banished pile after we get Étoile, as well as, we should have bounced back that loss so we couldn't have searched for the Mercurier to kind of have a negate for our own Étoile there. Definitely a lot of misplays that definitely costed us the game from the Melodious side of it. But at the same time, it's also hard when you're playing against a control deck like Branded, where they have so many different interactions that, having to keep track of those cards are going to be very difficult for you as well, unless you played the deck before. David, I love you, but you've played Branded. Come on, man. You definitely could have hit those cards, but it is what it is. We all make mistakes. I make them all the time. At least it's at a sneak peek and not a regionals. Hopefully you learned from this experience, and anyone else watching has learned as well. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, see more content like this. Don't forget to stay safe. Peace.